rather than plain. It's home complaining when I'm standing out in the rain. None of my people done changed. They not the same, cause they let me out in the rain. Had to maintain, I had to stop my game, cause I was left out in the rain. I thought you were different from most, but you just the same, cause you let me out in the rain.
You are tuned in to Prophet Radio with your host, Prophet Pete.
Yo, you already know it's your boy, and we back, and we got another special guest in the building. So while our special guest is actually finding his way in, we are going to chop it up. So you already know it is another day on Prophet Radio. And how you doing, my brother?
What's going on, my man?
How you doing?
Blessed, brother. Blessed. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I'm
nice.
Keeping positive, and I'm moving forward. And I just love the energy that you just came on with, because I had a rough day. So it's one of those things, you know.
Right.
But hey, it's wonderful to be able to be here and communicate and be able to interview an individual that is as established as you are.
Well, thank you. I just want to thank you for allowing me to be able to be a part of what you're doing. You know, the movement is magnificent, brother. You know, we got brothers and sisters all over the country and all over the world. And, you know, there's never been a better time than to mobilize than now.
Yes. And especially with everything that's going on. And I believe that with what we're doing as individuals and as people together, that we are kind of creating a stronger and louder voice than ever before.
Yes.
You know, and when it comes to the people that are watching around us, it's like they have no choice now.
Yes.
Because they can't control it. Like, hey, oh, dang, up there it goes. Yep, it's up there.
Right.
Yep, there, we can't do that about it. Well, let's see what they're talking about. And then
tune in.
You know, it is what it is. So, Mr. Champion.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about your start in the video production, editing arena.
It's definitely a playground. I will tell you that, you know, because, you know, to be a master of anything, you got to put in the time. It takes 10,000 hours, they say, to become a master of anything. And the equivalent of 10,000 hours working at 40 hours a week is about 10 years. So anybody that has 10 years at that craft can consider themselves a master, so to say. And me, myself, I got 20 plus years hustling and doing this and providing and, you know, trying to figure out things because, you know, this isn't a traditional field that Black people delve into. You know, yeah, we're in the entertainment business, but mostly in front of the camera. So being behind the camera is a bit of a different journey. It's still a challenge and a journey. And, you know, when I started in this business, I was, you know, fresh out of college in my 20s and looking for myself, right? Because you don't know yourself when you're a young man, you know, not early 20s. So part of me growing in the business was me growing as a person and me growing as a man and, you know, going through trial and tribulation to find out, you know, what it is that I like, what it is that I don't like. And that takes time. And, you know, with time, we know we don't get nothing out that we don't put in. So, you know, I've definitely been paying it forward. I've been in the industry 20 plus years, went to film school. And then from film school, I did an internship. I went to Syracuse University. Shout out Orange, all my Orange people out there. You know, got to give a plug to the alma mater.
Yeah.
So yeah, I attended the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications. And I had no idea really what I wanted to do. So it was all a learning experience and it was all new and fresh to me. And when it's new and fresh, you're excited, you know, you vibrant, you're full of life. And I was definitely full of life. And from there, I went back down to the city, back down to Queens, and I got a job at MTV. Started working at MTV, learning the ropes. And then from there, I went to a commercial editing company where I started at the bottom, worked my way up from runner to vault manager to assistant editor, moved to Los Angeles with the same company. And then a year later, I went freelance, and I've been freelance 20 plus years now. And that was really the journey, the beginning of my journey, using one skill set to know that I didn't know as much as I thought I knew, number one, and that to be a great filmmaker, you got to know a lot of different things. So that kind of started my journey onto going from editing, from post-production to production, and then eventually working at ad agencies and direct to client.
That sounds like a journey and a half. Like definitely a journey and a half. 20 plus years. So that means like you got your double masters going on in this situation.
Oh, I mean, if you really want to add it up, let's just keep it real. 6 figures to go to Syracuse, and then I pay in blood, sweat, and tears for another 20 plus.
Woo.
So I paid a hefty price, but like I said, you don't get nothing out that you're not willing to put in. And when it comes to this business, it's show business. So I could show you better than I could tell you.
And you have. And there's a project that I would love to talk to you about when we get a little further into the interview. Now, I do have a question. Are you the only one on this interview, because there is someone else in the waiting room?
Oh, that probably was me, because I had clicked on the link. Does it say me, Sahir?
No. It says Rhonda.
Oh, maybe Rhonda's trying to join.
Yeah. So you want in on the interview with you?
Yeah, she can come on the interview, of course.
Okay, just making sure.
That's my peoples. Without Rhonda, it'd be no us.
I didn't know if it was a stalker or something, and it was, I just wanted to make sure. All right, so we're gonna let Rhonda in, and while we're waiting for her to come in, we'll continue to talk.
Okay.
So with the show business, I've had my share of interviewing other producers, and they told me that it's not as easy, or the glitz and glamour are not there as people think.
Right.
It's like being around celebrities or shooting certain things. It's like you're around these people so much that it's like normal. It's just like going to work and being next to your coworker or doing things like that. So with all the time and effort that you've put in, now we're probably close to 30 years, right?
Yep.
Close to 30 years. What kept you motivated and moving forward?
That's a really good question, and I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. For all the aspiring filmmakers, artists, musicians, creative people, this dream costs a lot. I just kind of gave a brief breakdown of what it cost me, and that's not even everything. The sacrifice of living in Los Angeles, being from New York, coming here, not knowing anybody, and just being determined. So, me being a black man, us being black people, we kind of stubborn, and I'm hard-headed. So I like when people tell me I can't do something. I love to show and prove on a daily basis. So for me, it was really holding on to my dream. There were times freelance, you don't know where the next job's coming. You don't know where the next check is coming. So you live your life with a lot of uncertainty, but you pay it forward, and you know that the universe is going to provide you with everything that you need because you're doing everything that you're supposed to. So for me, what kept me going was my dream. And I will be honest and tell all you guys, the minute you feel like quitting, that's when you should go even harder, because that means you're that much closer to success. That story, 3 feet from gold?
Yeah.
So you so close to it, you got your blinders on, and you're tired, you're beat up, you know what I mean? You're worn down. And I'm gonna tell all you guys, don't ever, ever give up. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. So for me, it was finding the strength during my moments of weakness to build myself back up, to be strong enough to go back to the battlefield, because they don't give opportunities a lot for Black people, especially coming in for producers and directors. I mean, I've seen guys come in where I worked at ad agencies who came in as interns who surpassed me, and I'd already been there 10 years. You know what I mean? So the desire, the hunger, the passion, the money's gonna come. I don't care what you do in life. If you have passion, you have conviction, and you believe in yourself, nobody's gonna believe in you more than you believe in yourself. You know what I mean? So when you show people that you really willing to put everything on the line, your name, your word, your reputation, your small checking account, right? Whatever it is, if you got to sell your car to make a film, if Spike Lee, when he made his first film, he put it on credit cards. Spike Lee is the original. Shout out to Spike Lee, because I mean, without Spike Lee, you wouldn't even have crowdfunding. He was doing crowdfunding in the late 80s.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's about the passion. It's about the conviction. It's about the belief in oneself. You know what I mean? People are always going to tell you what you can't do. That's because they're so afraid that you could do what they can't do. You know what I mean? So people always put limitations on you that are their own self-imposed limitations. But as you know, sky has no limit. So, there is no ceiling. So if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. And I think that the biggest thing is holding on to that passion, because, I know a lot of people who are disgruntled and beat up, and, I try to be a breath of fresh air when I come on the set. It's like, oh my God, who is this guy? And the reason being is because that was something I actually learned early on in my career. There are magnetic personalities, people who light up the room with their presence. You know what I mean? With their aura, and you don't necessarily have to speak to have this. And that was something that I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be like. I wanted to be a beacon of light. I wanted to shine. It's funny. I just posted something on my Instagram the other day about not dimming my light, because it makes somebody else feels comfortable. If you're expecting me to dim my light to make you comfortable, is either one or two things can happen. You're either going to have to put on sunglasses or you're going to go blind. One of the two. But I'm not pulling no punches, and I'm not pulling back. Time waits for no man, my brother. And, it's carpe diem. If you don't seize this moment and this opportunity, this may be an opportunity in a moment that you may never see again.
Yeah, I heard that. That was real talk. Like, for real. And everybody got that Uncle Freddie that always tell you, you can't do that while he's sitting on the couch. Right? He said, you can't do that. Why? Because you can't do it from the couch. You might have to get up to try and do what I'm doing. But hey, if you don't want to get up, I'm gonna do this over here while you stay right there. We're good. And it's amazing that there's a lot of people that are fearful of who you are and what they see and the energy that you just push out into the world.
Right.
And they try and take it away and overshadow your brightness with their negativity and their dim bulb.
That's right.
And it's crazy. And sometimes they do get the best of you because it comes from places where you don't even realize it'll be coming from. It could be your spouse. It could be your friends. It could be a good friend. It just all types of things can happen. And you just got to be strong enough to elevate yourself past those points.
Well, also, let me be clear about this too. Your biggest opposition is going to come from people that know you the best. Right? Because the person you are now, you're trying to aspire to grow to become somebody else. All they know is the person that they knew then. You know what I mean? Because it's easier for them to say, oh, so-and-so is like this because, back when we used to kick it, woo, woo, woo. Now you've surpassed them, you've grown. And you don't really have too much to worry about because guess what? The same people you leave behind, you know where to find them. Right where you left them.
On the same corner.
Come on, bro.
In the same neighborhood. 30 years later, you like, bro, you still here? Like,
is that real or what?
No, it is. It's real. It is truly real. And it's
meanwhile, they laughing like, oh, you want to be the next Spike Lee? Ha, ha, ha. You damn right. Because guess what? When I was going off to Paris, I was coming back at the end of the A train. Guess what? All the same cats was there when I left. You know what I'm saying? I done been around the world. I done been to Paris, Geneva, Now, mind you, I was living in Paris for 6 months. So I left for 6 months and came back on the train, and they were still there doing the same thing.
And it's real. Like, it's so real. And anyone that's hearing this can relate to that situation. And it's just wild. It to me is just wild. I don't get it. But some people
Well, it's fear. It's fear. You know, most people are more afraid to be successful than they are failure. Failure is usually what they know, but they're afraid to fail forward. You know, I always tell people, when you're afraid of something, attack it. Because if you don't attack it, it will attack you. And usually it attacks you mentally. So your thought and your anticipation of this event is usually 10, 20, 30 times worse than actually dealing with it and going through it, right? So I always tell people, when you're afraid, or rather yet, when you hear the word no in business, no to me means not right now. 6 months, a week, who knows? Things change, perspective change, markets change, agendas change, right? So it's not about how many no's, because when you get the right yes, you won't even remember those no's. Yeah. This is real hustlers talk, you know what I mean? See, I want to tell everybody, you can take a street mentality and apply it to corporate America. Okay? Don't let them fool you, because guess what? It takes brains and genius to be able to run an organization, whatever you want to call that organization. If it's generating income and you have employees, and like, I mean, we all know there's different ways to structure a business, right? But it's the mentality behind the people that's, you know, taking on this endeavor. So I always say, there are no dumb drug dealers. You got to be pretty smart. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch out for the cops. You got to watch out for the homies. You got to watch out for your customers. You got to watch out for snitches. And then simultaneously, you have to have a business working that's actually revenue producing, because the consequences could be life or death.
Right. And there's the whole thing of how to manage money, buying the product, reing up, making sure you save the profit. Like, when I grew up in Harlem. So you in Queens, right?
Yep.
Queens. So no different. And it was, when I was growing up, it was the mentality of being a hustler. Like,
right.
And I realized that you have to hustle. Like, it's one of those things. And as I got older, it wasn't taking me wanting to be in the streets. It was taking what I learned from the streets and applying it, because I realized that it was no different. Because if you sat there and you watched big business, they did the same things.
Yes.
Supply and demand. When you're in the streets, supply and demand. There's no different. You create something that individuals, you see a need for something, you create the product, and then you supply it.
Yes.
And that's it. The guy that sells water out of the cooler on a hot summer day, when he knows that light is about 2 minutes long, and some people might not have AC, and there's no stores around. Supply and demand. You hot, you want some water? $1. You know, and I think that with being a producer of your caliber and having that title of Where is the Soul? I think I got it right. Right? Where is the soul?
Yep.
Right. I was like, oh my goodness, he actually put it in visual form, because because I've been thinking that for a long time. You know, like, what happened to it? Where did it go? And the music has changed so much. I think we're slowly getting back to it.
Right.
But there was a point where it was like there was nothing in it. It was people emulating other individuals that became successful, had no feeling, no anything in their music.
Right.
And it was like, wow. I said, oh, a project that I can watch and understand. It's like you were speaking from my brain.
From the heart, right? Because to have soul, you got to have a heart.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the things. There's a section in the documentary where they talked about it, where people playing live instruments are real, breathing individuals who pour their essence into the instruments that they play, versus programming a sample, right? The program doesn't have any life to it, because it all sounds monotone. When somebody playing with a little bit of heart, you hear a little bit of oomph and a little bit of, right? So you can, with those little subtleties, tell you is that there's emotion behind why he hit it soft or why he hit the cymbal hard, or is he emphasizing a specific moment in the song? So all of these different things, and let's be real, this is why you ever see John Henry versus the Machine, right?
Yeah.
Right. Man versus machine. That's what machines could never emulate, right? Is being human. So the things that make us different are the things that we are supposed to celebrate. Meanwhile, it's society that wants us to change those to fit into society, right?
Mm-hmm.
Us as black men, we ain't never fit in. It's been open hunting season on us since I can remember the early 80s when my auntie first told me that. You be careful out here, it's open hunting season. And I couldn't understand why it was so hard for black people to be who they wanted to be or who they really were inside. No, you got to put on this and you got to cut your hair like that. As you can see, I got dreads, I got the beard, I got the tat. I don't believe in that. You know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%. Agree with you 100%. It's hard we're trying to fit into a society that doesn't even want us to fit. And mind you, they're trying to change who we are, our creativity.
Right.
A lot of our ability to do certain things. You know, before I even got into radio, I was in other industries, even the automotive industry, a lot of engineers and the passion that they will put into the vehicles that they designed, the programs and some of the features that were in cars. They were passionate about it and they were able to put it in there, but they never got any recognition.
Right.
You know, it was, oh yeah, that's a great idea. But hey, you know what? We're gonna throw this blue over on it and we ain't even gonna mention your name. But here's a check. Just shut up over there.
Right, take that.
Yeah, it just, you know, and society has made us focus more on money instead of our passion. And as you said before, when you're passionate about something and you want to follow your dream, the money will come. But your passion is going to drive you and continue to drive you day after day when you don't want to get up, when you're like, you know what? Yo, I'm doing too much. I interviewed freaking 15 people today.
Right.
I don't even want to talk no more. And then it's like, you know what? I got to keep doing it. And as you keep pushing, you might not see the monetary gain right away, but you see that you're making a difference. You see that you're able to, people start to respect you for what you do and not what you're doing for them at the moment. It's, this is what he does. This is who he is. These are the projects they put out. That note that I got 3 days ago, I got a yes from someone that I wasn't even expecting because they followed me and I stood true to myself. So you get those network deals, those series, those videos, those commercials and everything that you've done over the years. And it's because you are who you are. And it's just amazing to be able to speak to you today because your passion not only just shines through in your work, but it shines through as you being an individual. And Rhonda, her audio has been connecting for like the past 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So she can't hear a thing, but she's there somewhere.
she's there in spirit with us.
Yeah, she's there. She's there. I see her. So, so what are some of the latest projects or some of the most recent accomplishments that you feel that the individual, the new filmmaker should aspire to, or just letting them know that this is possible when you do put in that work?
Well, quite recently, I secured a first look distribution deal with the On Channel. And the On Channel is an online streaming service, very similar to Netflix, Hulu, Quibi, and you name it. The main difference is that they're a Black streaming service, and Brian White, the actor, is the president of the channel. So currently I have three short films airing on there. And I have 2 to 5 other programs slated for release upcoming month in September. So what that means is I'm in the game, baby. I'm in the game.
You heard that?
I'm in the game.
And that's
right?
what I'm talking about.
But I only signed that deal a month ago.
Look at that. In the middle of all the chaos that's been going on.
See, this is what I'm saying. So you got people that are either talking the talk and not doing nothing, or people that's really walking the walk. And me personally, during COVID, I had 18-hour days. So some people are crying and whining. Others of us don't have time nor the luxury to be able to whine and complain about what we don't have. You know, you got to focus on what you do have and use that to your advantage instead of crying and, you know, and anticipating or thinking that somebody owes you something. Listen, it's a cold world. Everything that was owed to you was delivered the day you was born. That's it. You know what I mean? Like your mom and dad don't owe you no more. Like, stop being mad at 40, 50 years old about what you didn't have.
Yeah.
You know, you depriving your children of what they're not going to have. So at some point, you know, you got to make that adjustment. You got to make that choice. You know, like I told you, I asked myself many a time, and not just in my head, out loud in the mirror, Sahir, what are you willing to do to make this happen? And I would answer out loud, whatever it takes that does not sacrifice my integrity.
Yo, and you know what? You asking yourself a question and me being the educated individual that I am, I realized that throughout life, you saying you can't do something is a sign of mental laziness. It shuts you down because it doesn't promote active thinking. But when you question yourself, is how am I going to get this done? What am I going to do to get to that next level? Now you're sitting there and you're processing what you need to process, and you're coming up with ideas and steps to be that individual that you want to be, that you envision yourself to be. And you're not looking for anybody else for the answers because you know what your limitations might be. Right. And while you're sitting there and you're thinking about it, you're overcoming your own limitations to get to that next level.
Yes. I mean, the biggest challenge you have is yourself. Mm-hmm. What you allow and what you don't allow on a personal level. So that's why the journey for growth is a very individual journey. And when no one is looking, if you're pushing yourself, so other people don't see the fact that I may ask myself these things, or I do certain tests, you know, like when we're saying, oh, when I hear no on a phone call, I make 10 more. Because, you know, the tendency is when you hear no, you're like, oh, I don't feel like it. I'm like, bump that. Somebody gonna say yes today. I ain't stopping till I get a yes. And you just gotta be tenacious. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna believe more in you than you. So you're gonna have to do the hard work. And this is a true story. So let me tell you guys a story that happened previous to me signing the deal with the On Channel. I had a vision for a studio. I have a lot of different visions. And one of the visions I had was building out some stuff. And I went to a couple of people prior and they were like, oh, no, it sounds good. And these guys know me and they trust me, but it's just the whole mindset, right? So I predicted to sell them on this idea. And they were like, no, it's great. However, you know, COVID and blah, 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 right? I said, no problem. Now, I knew I had the deal signed with the On Channel.
Right.
So when I announced it, those same people came back to me. You see what I'm saying? So don't worry about the no's. The no's are inconsequential. They don't matter. The no's will all turn into a yes, right? So when they heard about the deal, oh, Sahir, now we see your vision now. I bet you do. Right? You know, I have a good friend of mine. He's an executive producer on The Godfather of Harlem. Okay. Right? The show before. Do you know how many times he heard no before he sold the show? I know firsthand. He's a childhood friend of mine. He was here in my house at Los Angeles. We talked about it. We scheduled meetings for him at Netflix or whomever we knew places. And he had Forrest Whitaker, big name attachment people, Chris Brancato, showrunner for Narcos. and they told him no. He didn't stop. Real hustlers never stop when we hear no.
And that's a fact. And I think the true hustlers, when they hear the word no, it's like you done jump started the battery in their back.
Right. Like, I'm gonna show you.
No, I'm gonna show you how fast I'm gonna get there, and then you're gonna have to watch because now I got something to prove.
Or you're gonna have to pay double, triple, quadruple, but you're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, and
the deal's not the terms of the deal initially are not gonna be the same after I do it without you.
And that's a fact. I was trying to let you in on the ground floor, but it's hard to get to the penthouse. Like, I'm sorry, I'm up here now.
True.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And you know, I think that surrounding yourself with the right people is also good. When it comes to certain things, I don't like yes men, and I don't like the negative minds. I like a little bit of in between around me, because I want to be able to give and take from the situation as we are, because sometimes individuals will sit there and they'll be the yes men that'll cause you to fail just as quick as that negative person
right
in there, and they're telling you no, you can't do it. They're giving you that false sense of hope when they're sitting there telling you, oh, that's great, when they know all they had to say was, I think you need to tweak this a little bit.
Right.
And you know, it is what it is. But your vision is your vision, and the only one that can stop you is yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta believe, and people say, keep it real, whatever. I'm gonna say keep it honest. Keep it honest with yourself. You know what I mean? So if you know you have a weakness, improve your weakness. You know what I mean? If it's a strength, maybe you can improve that too. But the whole purpose is to push yourself to your own personal limits, because everyone has different limitations. So for me personally, I just don't accept no. That's just not like, no. What do you mean no? Well, okay, well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Well, maybe I can't get it this way. Maybe I can't get it that way. But let's face it, this is the American way. And our people need to get on track with that, because, I mean, let's face it. When they wrote the Constitution, all men were created equal. They were lying.
They wasn't talking about us.
No, but there's always been a double entendre, a double thing for Black people. They said one thing in the mainstream, and then we translated it as something else because we really know what that means, right? Mm-hmm. So that means we have to be twice as adept in knowing how things operate. So really, you can't break the rules and bend the rules until you know the rules. So the more we know it, the better. It's like a loophole with an attorney or with an accountant. Well, you can't spend the money directly out of your account, but if you put it into your business account and then write yourself a personal check, you see what I mean?
Then it becomes a business expense.
Right. And instead of income.
Right. It's the wild and craziest thing. It's just there's just so
mindset. It's just knowing how to think. Like if I'm in an arena with a certain kind of particular thing, I gotta switch. It's almost like you speak English or whatever, and then you get around your Jamaican homeboys and they speak in patois. You gotta like turn your ear like, hold on, wait a second. Let me just dial it in. Turn your ear. All right, good. Yeah. Got you. Well gone, Brethren. Then you like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Got to just get dialed in, and like I said, I'm just passionate, man. I love life. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of challenge and obstacles, and us as a people, I know we've been through a lot, and we're gonna continue to go through more, because there is no stronger race of people or group of people than African Americans. Period. I don't care. Africans, this, that. The struggle that the African American has endured, there's been no other people on the planet besides the Jews. And, the Jews, the original Jews, have brown skin too. So I'm going to say it again. There has been no people who have gone through what the American Black person has gone to be where we are. I mean, look where we are. They want to clone us. They want to be us without having us.
Yeah. And you know that you're strong and your people are strong when you have become the enemy of the state, the enemy of the city, the enemy of a neighborhood for centuries. It's like, no, we can't let them come up. We need to keep them down. We need to keep them down. And the one thing that Black Wall Street, when I first heard about that, the first time and it was weird because the first time I heard about it was when Game created Black Wall Street, the label.
With Baron Davis.
Right. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what's this Black Wall Street thing? Then it was Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm like, but this ain't the Game. And then I'm like, it was the first attack on U.S. soil against American citizens. And it was a town that basically showed the world in America that we can do it on our own. And they have been fearful of it. And they continue.
They've been fearful for it before that. They was fearful when they came over there to Africa and we was living better than they was.
Yeah. They're like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? And then they
had to master technology.
Yeah.
So that's why these laws, right? See, that's what I'm saying. It's like they say one thing and then write another, and then you got to make sure the red print on the bottom, right? That's how they trick us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're original people. Our word is our bond, and bond is life, and I shall give my life before my word shall fail. That's the kind of people we are. We say what we mean what we say. In America, that's just not how could they get to be the biggest nation in the world? You think they got that by honoring their word?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Behind every great fortune is a great crime.
Tell me about it. So
these Carnegies, these Rockefellers, these Kennedys, they were moonshine runners. They were gang members before they became philanthropists and foundation owners.
Yeah.
Right? They got a pass. That's the American dream, that anybody can become anything they want to. How? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And don't let us attempt to move in that direction real quick. They'll shut us down early. They're not even going to let us gain momentum on that.
No.
They change laws when they see us going a certain way. They're like, oh, wait, hold up. And I look back on eras like the crack era in the 80s.
And
it was, cocaine was a hell of a drug. It still is a hell of a drug.
Right.
But you would get a misdemeanor, probably a death appearance ticket if you got caught with something. Right. But you got caught with a fraction of that in the crack form, you was getting life in jail. Yes. And then they came up with the Rockefeller law. Like, what the hell? Rockefeller law. Ain't nobody here in the hood named Rockefeller. And they put us up there throwing away the key. But this is one of those things where they adjusted the laws and you had to understand it to really say, wait, hold up, something ain't right.
Right. Meanwhile, it's the CIA and Ronald Reagan selling drugs in Southside Jamaica, Queens, and in South LA to fund a war in another country.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got, and let me see, this is how cold they are. This is what I'm talking about. Right. At the same token, he had his wife on the Say No to Drugs campaign face. So she's the Say No to Drugs campaign face, and they're going hard with that. Meanwhile, he the biggest drug dealer next to Pablo Escobar.
Mm-hmm.
They prosecuted Pablo, and what Ronald Reagan get? A freeway named after him, a couple of buildings. He should have did time, not Ollie North.
Yeah. It's the craziest thing. And, they always say be woke. And it's like when your eyes are open up and you pay attention, they try to cloud your judgment and your vision by what they put in media. And I think that's a lot of why we probably got into the fields that we are in today, because the narrative has been controlled for so long.
Yes.
That you have to take it and be responsible for what the message you put out and the way you want to be heard. So I can sit there and as you do with your projects and your productions, you create a narrative that can't be controlled. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why you decided to go freelance and start your own production company, because you wanted to be in control of the narrative.
Well, we know freedom ain't free. It's just not. I mean, somebody else paid the price for us. And that's what bothers me about all this Black Lives Matter in terms of, you know, the industry is like, yo, people had to lose their lives for brothers and sisters to get a chance.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? So I can't take that lightly. That's a huge responsibility that I gladly put on my shoulders because somebody's got to do it. We got to stop talking about it and like get to it, you know? There's no way to get to it if you ain't willing to go through it.
Yeah.
Can't be reborn as the phoenix if you don't walk through the fire.
That is a fact. I love all these analogies, by the way. Like
I'm a big analogy person.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that. I do, but you know, when I get on my little soapbox and I start talking, I'll be like, yeah, I heard.
I love it though. It's like remember the Israelites and the nation of gods and earth when you see them coming through 42nd, you just this aura, this essence, this energy. That's what I'm about. You know, like I'm not a bloodsucker of the poor. I educate, I teach, I enlighten, I give without anything and without any expectation in return, except that you take this knowledge and do something with it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it to you if you're gonna waste it and throw it by the curbside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and this is what I'm talking about people making sacrifices for us that don't even know us. Brothers and sisters on the front line daily for our rights, for our freedoms, you know? So I feel like we owe it. We owe it to our ancestors. We owe it to ourselves. And we also owe it to our children.
Yes. We definitely do. And I think that we need to continue to push in the direction that we're going. I know that there's probably a lot of things we see on the news that is like, we're not getting anywhere, but there's a lot of things that are out there. And by us continuing to push forward, we are continuing that fight that our ancestors sat there and fought for, you know, and it's sad to say that, yeah, people are still losing their lives 400, 500 years later, 600 years later, we're still losing our lives in some of the violent ways possible.
Yeah.
But we still have to keep focused and still have to drive because one day it will be historically different from what they don't talk about in the history books. There's so much stuff that they don't say, and there's so much stuff that we're not privy to unless we actually do the research. And there's reasons why they don't teach where we have Black History Month and it's in February, shortest month of the year. There's just so many things that there was so many. America was built on the back of African Americans.
And a lie. All men are not created equal. Stop lying, y'all. Y'all, listen, they've been lying, bro. You talk about history books. Look, this is a true story what I went through. I can remember being in 5th grade, right? The teacher talking about Christopher Columbus discovered America. I was like, problem with that. My aunties and them is Panthers. Like, that ain't what I was taught. And so I argued with the teacher and I got in trouble, right? So I went home. Now, everybody knows that's a lie. You can't discover a place where there's already people living. And not only that, but the Moors have been to America way before Columbus had. So that's a whole nother story. I ain't even gonna get into that, right? But when I went home, this is what my mama told me. She said, just give them their answers on their tests, but you know the truth. See, Black people have always had to live two-sided. The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois talks about the duality of being Black and being American, right? Which one are you first? The soldiers who went and fought for freedoms in other countries that they themselves did not have the liberty or pleasure to be able to come home and enjoy. See, this is the injustices that I'm speaking out against because I feel like it's my duty because I know better. And when you know better, you're supposed to do better. And I'm willing to put that on the front line and say that because somebody's got to. I'm tired of the lies.
And you are on the platform and you have the power. Like, it's just amazing. And then, a guy from Queens, regular smuggler dude, in the words of Cardi B, right? Regular smuggler. Right? Hey, you've been there, you've done that, you've elevated, and now, as they say, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, sir.
And right now, even with the projects that I've seen that I've reviewed before having this interview, I'm like, I'm just so amazed. Like I was super hyped to like really talk to you today. And it's like being able to speak to you, I'm like just in awe of the ability and your your honest opinion and you being yourself and staying true to who you are, which makes it great because I think that it touches so many of our people in the fact that you don't have to sell your soul to fit in. You don't got to sell your soul to be successful. If you truly believe in what you know and you want to move forward and you want to be great within your own respect. Do
Absolutely.
not sell yourself to anything. And just be, and it's not going to be an easy road because society tells you if you don't fit in, you're doing something wrong. Social media
Right.
says,
Yeah.
hey, you got to fit in. Oh, yeah. The whole holding money to the ear thing. I'm like,
Right.
I've been working for a very long time. I don't think I've ever had that much money to put to my ear in like, to hold in my hand. And I'm a pretty successful dude in the things that I
Right.
do. And I'm not like, how the hell they do it? I'm like, are those singles or what's going on? Because $100 in singles looks like a lot. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's staying true to yourself. You can get to that level, but it's not going to be an easy road. But because you're carving a different path from what society and everyone else is following, you're
Right.
going to hit some bumps. Things are going to be difficult. That hill is that path that wasn't traveled. So you have to put in the work.
Yes. Yes. Nobody's gonna give it to you. They don't like no such thing as a free lunch. You know that. And guess what? You know the first one's always free on the house.
Yeah.
Right?
You win. They like, I got something for you.
Got him.
They say, oh, he came back. We ain't going to let him go this time.
Nope.
And that's it. Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
I mean, I think it's really important to stay true to yourself, man, because look, I mean, at this stage of life, like first of all, I never fit in. And most black people could feel that, whether you grew up in the hood or even if you went to a white school, something just wasn't somewhere in your life you didn't fit in, right? So we had to come up with ways to feel comfortable within our own skill. That's why music, hip hop, and all that, it's a voice. It all came out of a political need to express our living conditions. The last poets, the first rappers, right? 79, 78, right? They were talking about the conditions. So, I'm sure you're pretty much aware of this too, but I know this is the first time we've actually had a chance to speak about it. But in 91, there was a conscious collective movement by the record labels to get away from conscious hip hop, right? Because if you remember, Napster and all that stuff was coming out, so they were losing a lot of money on downloads and ringtones, right? And then also they didn't have the right contracts in place to be able to secure ringtones from the artists because it was like new media, it was uncharted territory, right? Yeah. So the minute that started happening, they started investing in private prisons. So the labels invested in private prisons to recoup the money that they lost in internet sales. And now instead of pushing Native Tongues, Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, stuff like that, now they pushing the stuff that's gonna fill up their jails, right? And as everyone knows, jail has the biggest markup anywhere on the planet of any industry.
Yeah. And that is so true. And look, even now, where they were investing in private jails, now they're like, well, we don't know what's gonna come out next. So hey, here's a 360 deal.
Yes.
Because we want everything.
Yes.
You go to the store and get paid just to be in the store, we want a cut of that. Like right. Everything.
Well, I mean, look, it's business, right? It evolves. Like if you think back to the first artists before Motown, they had no contracts in place. A lot of them died broke. Meanwhile, right, Motown is built and all these other great companies are built. And the people who are really responsible for giving us that sound and that feeling, because they didn't have any business acumen. right? So nowadays, artists are very much more in tune with the business side because they have to. You got managers stealing money, right? You got friends stealing money. Every time you go somewhere, you go 30, 50 deep.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened to MC Hammer.
Yeah. Had some of the greatest hits ever. Grew up on MC Hammer. And it was like, he's broke. I'm like, how? What?
MC Hammer's a great person. I've met him and chill with him on many occasions. And he's a regular brother.
Yeah.
He's a regular brother who at the time, he didn't know any better. Somebody could have taught him better that knew better if they knew better. But he's from Oakland, you know, it's like, come on, like, you know, like I said, you know, you gotta, you know, life's lessons are the ones that are in front of you, the ones that you can grow from and learn from, you know what I mean? There's always gonna be obstacles and bumps and bruises, but guess what? Those bumps and bruises and that scar you got, only you got that scar.
Yep.
It's like my tattoo. You know, I told him, I was like, yo, can you design me something that's one of a kind? Now, people have a lot of these same patterns, but they don't have their patterns put together in the same way that I have mine, because that's my story. Just like this scar would be my story, that battle scar, that bump, that bruise. And listen, I don't mind a minor setback for a major comeback.
Yeah.
Only time you don't win is if you quit.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, with the state of the world right now, there were certain things that happened where I was like, yo, I don't think that the whole station and everything is gonna work out right. People are just abandoning ship because they don't know how to deal with it. But what am I gonna do? And I had to adjust. And in the time of adjusting, the actual recognition and the way the station moved and what happened multiplied by tenfold in just a couple of months because I chose not to give up.
That's what it's about. You made a stand, right?
Yeah. I was like, can't give up now. I didn't put everything on the line. I didn't spend a lot of money. Like,
right.
Like, no.
There is no plan B.
No, it's like, you know, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. How? I don't know, but we're gonna figure it out. But it gotta happen. And
it did.
Yeah, and it's just been crazy from the individuals that I get to meet, such as yourself, with some of the talents that I work with. You know, it's like, wow, I never thought that Talented Comedian would have a show on this station.
Right.
Like it was like, holy crap, like I grew up on talent, you know.
Right,
and,
right.
And to have that conversation, he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, how does that work? But it was one of those situations where I was expecting a no, but got a yes that elevated to a whole nother level. And I'm like, you know,
perspective, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. But dang, I wish we could do this for the, like, you know what?
Well, listen, if we was in person, you know, we'd be having a beer too, throwing back some shots, you know.
Yeah. Yo, I'm definitely, I think that I'm definitely going to make sure that I keep in contact with you, because you are an individual that I think, like you said, your light is so bright. I had a crazy day today. Speaking to you, changed. I don't even remember much of what happened today.
I'm glad.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And just knowing that there are successful individuals that look like us out there that are doing it and are not stopping and just continue to move forward is amazing.
Yes, it is. And, you know, I'm thankful to be in a position to be able to give this back to the community, because, you know, that's really important to me, mentorship, because unless these kids see people who look like them, sound like them, who come from places like them, they will never think that this is possible based on what they may see at home, what they may see in the street. You know what I mean? And I just want to tell them, yo, guys, yo, you could be anything or anyone you want to. You just have to make the choice.
Yes. And that is 100% correct. So if you want to give out your social media and where they can find some of your projects.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Sahir Self Savior, which is Sahir, Self Savior, SELF SAVIOR. That's my personal account, or the studio is S7 Studios. And then you can also check out my website at Sahir Champion, SAHIR Champion, CHAMPION.com. So yeah, I come from a long, champions, baby. So like, the mantra of my family is champions are made, we're born. So there's a legacy. This is why I have pride in who I am and my father, and Black fathers do exist. That's another topic. I mean, I know I could go on and on, but the point is, never give up. Never fall second to your dreams and your thoughts, because the rest of your life, you'll be mad at yourself. You're going to be bitter, upset. Go through the pain now so you don't have to suffer later.
And that's a fact. That is a fact. So I thank you, my brother, for blessing the show. And I'm going to make sure that I send you the links and everything else after the show is over. You'll get everything in your inbox. And we're going to have to do this again.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. This is fun. And, if you want to holler at me about that other project, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can get into it.
Yeah, definitely. Yo, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and the pleasure was all mine. Thanks to the radio station for putting on such a great program and just really getting the community activated and talking. So, all praises due to you on that one, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. And I'm definitely going to make sure that I watch all your projects now.
Oh, let me just show one thing. The shirt I'm wearing, never black down, baby. We don't never black down.
You heard that? That's what's up. Where can they find that?
It's neverblackdown.com.
All right. See, so you saw the shirt.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't see the shirt, you can check the video, the interview out on YouTube. That is actually going to be up there as soon as the show ends. It's on Facebook, on the WEMS Facebook page, and we're on Anchor and everything else. So I want to thank you, my brother.
My brother. Stay blessed.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, so you already know it's your boy, Prophet Pete, and that has been another episode with the homie, and we up out of here, y'all. We'll be back.